Coming up on Pet Heroes, a crippling fall leaves an endurance runner stranded in the backcountry. And when a man's vehicle slips 50 feet down a treacherous embankment, his only hope for survival is his Cocker Spaniel.
Hi, I'm Jason McCoy, and welcome to Pet Heroes. Dogs have a unique ability to sense stress, which can often stir them into action. But how do they know what to do and where to go when their masters are in danger? We examined two stories of people trapped in remote locations, their survival hinging on the actions of their pets.
Danelle Balangi of Moab, Utah is a mom, a restaurant owner, and a two-time world champion adventure racer. A sport that combines navigation and orienteering with any combination of cross-country running, mountain biking, climbing, and paddling over extreme distances.
And so I'd come down to Moab to train and just really fell in love with the place. Then I didn't have a dog for several years because I was traveling a lot to compete. But then I really felt like I wanted a dog. I wanted a training partner and a companion. And I was at the puppy rescue, and there was this one dog that really caught my eye, caught my attention. There's something special about him. He was a little bit like the Tasmanian devil. He would literally do backflips and spins. He was super, super hyper as a puppy. He was also supposed to be an Australian Shepherd mix. So with the Australian connection, the name Tasman, I thought was appropriate.
Where's the treats? Where's the treats? Okay, come on, let's go.
And I just returned from a multi-day adventure race in Mexico, and I was looking forward to just getting a couple long, easy runs in as I transitioned from the fall season to the winter season, preparing for snowshoe racing and winter triathlon. It was a sunny day, but it was cool out. Temperatures were just above freezing.
"11 a.m., Danelle and Taz head out on a trail well off the beaten path in the Moab backcountry.
I was planning on doing one of my favorite loops. It's real rugged, and you head down and cross a small creek, and after about 1.5 miles, there's a left-hand turn. It's kind of hard to see, and I was on the section where you have to scramble up the slick rock to connect to the other Jeep trail. And sure enough, I hit some black ice and my foot slipped out from under me. I kept sliding, and the further I kept sliding, the steeper it got. It was almost like a water slide. There was no way I could stop. I mean, it was so slick that I just kept gaining speed and sliding down the rock. I couldn't see the bottom. I didn't know how far I was gonna go.
After a rapid 40-foot descent and 2-story freefall, Danelle lands hard on a narrow, dirt-covered rock shelf 200 feet above the canyon floor.
First thing I did was touch my legs because I was wondering if I was paralyzed, if I had crushed my spinal cord, and I could feel both my legs. So I thought, okay, this is good. And then I thought, I need to get out. My first reaction was, I got to get out of the canyon. I got to get back down to my truck. And so I tried to stand up so I could walk out, and I couldn't stand. And that's when I realized I had definitely done some damage, and that it was going to be a tough journey out.
Taz loses Danelle, but soon finds her at the bottom of her 60-foot drop.
The fact that he made it to where I was made me realize that there was a route out of there. So I dragged myself for about 5 hours, and I had made it just over a 1/4 mile during that period of time.
Daylight is fading, and Danelle is racked with fatigue, hunger, and thirst.
There was a small puddle, and I was able to get a drink of water out of that. And I decided that it would be best, considering it was dark and it was very cold out, if I just stayed there for the night.
As darkness falls and the temperature plummets, Danelle realizes she is in serious trouble. Mangled at the bottom of a canyon, at the mercy of the freezing cold, her only chance of survival rests with her trusted dog, Taz. After slipping on black ice while training in Moab's backcountry, world champion adventure racer Danelle Balangi finds herself immobilized and facing deadly sub-zero temperatures.
And I knew that I had to stay awake all night because the temperatures were below freezing, and I would have died of hypothermia if I didn't keep moving. So I started doing small crunches. I wasn't able to sit up all the way, but I was able to lift my head up enough to contract my abdominal muscles. So I moved my arms around and I was able to tap my feet. And I did that all night. And Taz was pretty good. He would lay down next to me, and that helped quite a bit with warmth.
Wendy McClellan, a doctor of veterinary medicine, offers her unique perspective on animal behavior.
Dogs are extremely social animals. They instinctively will huddle together to keep each other warm. They do that with their pups. They keep them warm. They lie together. They do that just to maintain body heat and comfort. It's the pack mentality of, I keep you warm, we keep warm together, and it's nice. You're petting my head, I'm happy with that. I'm licking your face, that makes you feel better, and it works.
The following morning, Danelle resurrects her attempt to crawl out of the canyon, but her body is too broken to make it.
It was probably the most painful thing ever in my life. Even to try to move an inch or 2 inches was very painful. And it kind of set in that I wasn't going to get out of there on my own, that somehow somebody had to realize that I was out there.
Somebody help!
Danelle sustained major injuries. The impact of the fall shattered her pelvis and left her with internal bleeding.
I think Taz realized that something was really wrong. And I could tell by his demeanor he was getting a little down. I think that's when he started to realize, geez, something's just not right here.
Help! Help! Somebody!
Unable to move, Danelle endures a second frigid night in the canyon. After being stranded for nearly 50 hours, her hope is fading.
That's when it really set in that I might not make it. And that's when the reality hit that I was going to die out there. I started thinking a lot about my life and what I had done and what I wanted to do, and my family and my friends. Still can't think about it. And that was probably the lowest moment of my life. And I tried my best to get out of there, and nobody was coming to get me, and I was starting to lose it a little bit.
Somebody help!
Knowing he's her last chance, Danelle implores Taz to leave her side to look for help.
I remember Taz came over to me, and I asked him, Taz, go, you've got to go get help. And he looked at me and kind of tilted his head to one side, and then he turned around and started running down the canyon.
Go! Go, Taz! Go!
Taz races up and down the trail, stopping at Danelle's truck and circling back again, desperate to find help. Though the area is deserted, he refuses to give up. Around the same time, Danelle's neighbor notices that the athlete is gone, but the lights in her home have been left on for 2 straight days. Concerned, she contacts Danelle's parents. They waste no time in contacting Moab police, who immediately swing into action.
Who we were looking for, it wasn't just a lost tourist. We were looking for the best of the best in the world of outdoor adventure athletes. And now they've come up missing in our backyard. And that made me think, oh my gosh, something serious is going on.
On a hunch, police check an old campsite beyond the Amasaback, a popular trailhead, and find Danelle's truck. The call is put out, and a search and rescue team assembles. A mix of police, friends, and volunteers. Among them is longtime Moab resident Bego Gerhardt.
Nighttime temperatures were below freezing, and we were thinking, well, she's probably not wearing much because she's probably out for a training run. That was the best guess.
It occurs to the search team that Danelle might already be dead. Then, they see Taz running toward them up the trail. Having heard them arrive, he wastes no time getting their attention.
When Taz came down the trailhead and saw the rescue crew there, he immediately changed his behavior. He started barking and circling, and that's the pack part. That's where they know, okay, my people are here, I need to rally them and get them to find Danielle. That's instinct. That's what dogs do when they're like, hey, I got something important, follow me. And that's the behavior you see, the circling, the barking, and then running and stopping to make sure you're following them.
Taz runs back the way he came, trying to lead the team back to his master.
I see the dog beelining it up the canyon at breakneck speeds, and I tell our crew, let's see where it's going.
Though Taz often disappears from view, he's careful to ensure the rescuers are always close behind. Danelle is fading, losing hope. But then, her beloved pet returns.
And he was actually wagging his tail, and he started drinking from my puddle.
Danelle is shocked. Maybe Taz doesn't understand how dire her situation is after all.
And that was sort of my lifeblood, and he was drinking, you know, the last bit of water that was in there. But he licked me and he stuck around with me. And then I heard another sound off in the distance.
Help! Help! I'm over here!
Yeah, I found her.
Through his unrelenting efforts to save his master, Taz plays a crucial role in guiding rescuers to Danelle before her injuries and the desert can claim her.
And that's when I went from the worst moment of my life to the best moment, knowing that I was going to get a second chance.
Less than 5 months after surgery, Danelle wins a 12-hour solo female adventure race. For his part, Taz is presented with the SPCA National Hero Dog Award.
Would we have found her in time without Taz's help? Absolutely not. Taz is definitely the mark that changed this event. That dog is truly a hero.
With Danelle and Taz, it was apparent their strong bond. They spent a lot of time together training. Obviously, she took him everywhere. He knew her like the back of his paw. They spent a lot of time. He knew when stuff was right and when it was terribly, terribly wrong. And that, I think, was the drive that kept him going back and forth between the car and her, trying desperately to find help.
I think surviving that accident also has just changed my perspective of life. And now I appreciate every day. He's a good dog and we're best friends. And I think the whole experience has given us a stronger bond.
We just saw how Taz was able to get help for his master Danelle after falling in a canyon and sustaining major injuries. Now we examine the story of a rescue dog named Honey.
Michael Bosch is a semi-retired real estate broker who lives with his wife Hara and their 2 dogs, Enrique and Sebastian. But they'll never forget the first dog they had, a very special Cocker Spaniel named Honey.
I asked the Marin Humane Society for a Cocker Spaniel. They gave me a call and they said, "We've got a dog for you." And it was love at first sight. As soon as she came out of the kennel, she jumped in my lap, and that was it. When Honey would sleep at night, she would put her head right on my chest, and I could sort of feel her heartbeat, and I think she could feel mine.
She was a member of the family. She was family. She was more than family.
On this Halloween, Hara is away at their vacation home in Mexico. Michael and Honey head out for an important appointment.
I was on the way to see my cardiologist because I just had a heart attack 2 months before. And every time I would go out or go anywhere, Honey was with me 24/7.
The end of Michael's driveway becomes a narrow dirt road. Off the side of this road is a steep ravine. On a beautiful clear day, disaster strikes.
I was backing out and the sun hit me in the eyes, and I put my hand up to block the sun, and the next thing I knew, I had gotten too close to the edge of the dirt road.
Michael scrambles to shift his SUV into four-wheel drive, but it's too late.
And the next thing I knew, that we started to turn. The car started to turn. And then we just started rolling over.
Having misjudged the distance to the cliff's edge, Michael's SUV slips 50 feet down the 80-degree embankment below his home.
After we hit, I remember the pain because I had 5 broken ribs, I guess, and my legs were totally numb, and I was a bit disoriented. So I did get my cell phone out of my pocket and opened it up, said a bit of a prayer, and of course I get no connection. So I said, you know, probably my only hope of getting out of here is that if this dog finds somebody and brings them to me. But we're up there on 70 acres by ourselves. And then I heard her scamper up the hill. So I knew that she got up the hill, and I just sort of hoped that she would go find somebody. And the closest person that would have been there would have been my neighbors that lived about a quarter of a mile up this dirt road.
With Michael trapped in the vehicle, it's up to Honey to get help. One of the first things she's going to do is go to the neighbors, somewhere familiar, to look for help. Once she finds someone she trusts, she's going to do everything she can to bring them immediately back to Michael.
But the neighbors aren't home. Honey continues to search the area for help, without success. After 7 hours trapped in his SUV in the remote hills of Marin County, Michael's chances of survival are quickly dwindling. The day fades, but Honey doesn't give up. She finally intercepts Michael's neighbor and is quick to alert her of the desperate situation at hand.
She didn't give up. Similar to Taz, she exhibited that pack behavior where she turned and barked and found someone to follow her back.
Michael hears her approach.
And I started screaming for help for everything I had.
Yes, there's been an accident. Someone's gone over in the ravine.
Then the next thing I know, a fireman arrived and told me that he was going to get me out of there.
After more than 8 hours inside the car, Michael is extricated and flown via helicopter to Santa Rosa Memorial Hospital.
Because if Honey was not there, Mike would be dead now. There was no way that you could have survived.
They reunited me with Honey, and my assistant brought her to the hospital, and it was just probably the greatest reunion I've ever had. It was just wonderful.
While recovering from his ordeal, Michael learns that Honey had a previous owner before being given to the Humane Society. He's told the dog's previous name was Angel.
So I actually had my Angel looking over my shoulder all the time.
Cocker Spaniels are great companion animals. They bond very quickly. In fact, the term spaniel comes from Spanish. At the time when they were coming up with the names for breeds, Spain was a place where great lovers were, and they associated this breed with bonding and affection. And also they're very intelligent, so I think both those factors played a part in this story.
Honey's life was cut short when she was struck by a car only a year and a half after the accident. But she will never be forgotten by Michael or Hadda.
Nothing can replace Honey, nothing. Whenever I see her picture, I always feel a pull in my heart because she's not there. But she's there with us all the time.
Here is the animal that had saved my life, that had been my closest companion other than my wife. You know, the pet had really done what she had done.
Danielle Ballingy and Michael Bosch are alive today because of their loyal canine companions. Their dog's desire to call out to the rest of the pack and alert them that the alpha is in distress stems from a universal language that humans and domesticated animals have established together over the course of 15,000 years.